Jalen Carter, who is the top NFL draft prospect, has been charged with reckless driving and racing. This is in connection with a crash on January 15 that killed a teammate and a recruiting staff member. So the initial story was that this 2021 Ford Expedition, who was driven by the recruiting staffer, 24-year-old Chandler LaCroix, crashed on January 15th at a high rate of speed. They were believed to be driving at 104 miles per hour shortly before the crash. The crash killed a Georgia teammate as well as LaCroix. And what's come out since then is that Jalen Carter, who returned to the scene, may have been lying to police about his involvement. There is a report from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that he was present at the scene of the crash and later provided shifting accounts of the wreck to police. First, that he just heard it and showed up, and second, that he may have been involved in racing. I will add that the report also states that they didn't detect that he was drunk or on any kind of substances or anything. So he is presumably sober, but may or may not have been racing. Jalen Carter posted to his own Instagram account saying, "This morning I received a telephone call from the Athens, Georgia Police Department informing me that 2 misdemeanor warrants have been issued against me for reckless driving and racing. Numerous media reports have also circulated this morning containing inaccurate information concerning the tragic events." And then he says he's confident that when all the facts are known, he will be fully exonerated of any criminal wrongdoing. There's other parts of the statement. I'm summarizing it quickly, so we can get to some of our takes here first. What was your initial reaction to the news? I mean, this can be, looking at him as a person, as a player. It could be looking at the draft. It could be looking at it from a Seattle point of view. I mean, what did you initially think of?
First, I'm thinking, this young man's been living with this for a while.
Yeah.
A couple months now, maybe.
January 15.
And it's probably affected his sleep. It's affected his preparation because he knows what happened and his involvement in it. And then I start to think of him as a young adult, as a dang near a teenager, early 20s. Is that all the dudes I went to college with and grew up with, we all made dumb decisions growing up. We've even drove our cars pretty fast. You know what I'm saying? Not making excuses, but I'm just taking people back to reality, because the first thing you want to do is judge. He shouldn't be doing that. He has all this on the line, and you're probably right. I'm just saying, this is a young man, and he feels horrible about this. I'm sure he feels horrible about this. It was his teammate, a recruiting assistant involved in this situation. And then I just start to think of what this does to his future. And we touched on that a little bit earlier. Like you mentioned, it's not like he was doing drugs or anything like that. He didn't abuse a person or a woman. Yeah. And the NFL tends to look at things a bit differently. In this situation, it sounds like he's going to be charged with a misdemeanor. We've seen guys do worse and get penalized not very much and still go on to live beautiful lives and have the careers that they have. So I just feel bad for everyone involved, man, because no one wanted this to happen. They're celebrating their back-to-back national championships, and there's families who lost loved ones. He lost a teammate. No one's walking away from this situation feeling like they're unscathed, like they're not affected by this. So the first place I always go is as a human being, and then I look at how this is going to affect his future, and honestly, I don't think it's going to affect it that much. Like I said earlier, if he does slide, we're not going to know, because I don't think he's going to slide to the teens or even double digits, or maybe not even past 5 or 6. If he does go to 5, you know what you're doing.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But it's just unfortunate. I just felt bad for everyone involved initially.
Yeah, I agree, Bump. I think that that's a really empathetic and important way to look at it, and I'm glad that you said that, because I think that what we immediately do is, shame on him. That's disgusting. Disgusting behavior. Someone texted in early. He killed 2 people. What he did was stupid. Is he the only person ever to do something stupid?
No. Somebody
Absolutely
do that tonight.
Not. Absolutely not. And the details that we have right now are that there is evidence that the car that crashed was driving at a very high rate of speed. There is evidence that he left the lot along with that car. There is also a police statement where first he left the scene. He came back 2 hours later. He told police, hey, I heard the crash from my apartment. Then he said, okay, I was following behind them, right? And presumably saw the crash and then came back. If he lied to police, were you scared? Were you nervous about what would happen? Were you horrified because you just saw this horrible accident and thought, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, I don't know if this makes me sound like a horrible person, but I don't look at this the same as like murdering someone and shooting someone or,
Yeah.
sexually assaulting someone that you've locked in a bathroom, Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I think that there are things that we see that are clearly horrific and horrible, and then there are things we see that are clearly irresponsible and horrible. And I do think that there is a moral difference between them. What this is a person doing a dumb thing that led to the tragic death of two people, and then not handling it like a responsible adult.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I see from this.
Yeah.
Is this someone who can never be a responsible adult? I don't think so. I think that this is something that is like a horrible thing to do that you can also atone for, try to do right by, whatever. I think that so much of what I'm seeing are quick ways to villainize people instead of recognizing like, and you know why I think that happens, Bump, is because I think that there's this history that people have of like letting athletes and prominent people get away with things. And so people are trying to overcorrect and be like, shame on him, he's horrible, he shouldn't even be drafted. And instead we just step back and think like, okay, well, what happened? What are the facts?
Yeah, man. And like I said, unfortunate for everybody. This kid has to feel horrible about this. And he's going to have to deal. That's the thing, too, is he's dealing with all this. You don't think he sees people talking about him. He's going to have to sit down with these GMs and these coaches and explain himself and explain to them why he still should be drafted, why he is a responsible human being. And someone's going to roll the dice on him because at the end of the day, he's a great football player. That's what he wants to do in life. And that will allow him to, you know what that will do? That will provide resources for him automatically that a lot of people aren't going to have. The NFL does a great job. When I was with the Seahawks, man, there's resources for everything. You're dealing with drugs, alcohol, relationships, mental illness. And this was back in 2008, 9, 10, where, and even now, we're more aware and conscious of that stuff. So if you feel some ill way about him, you're allowed to feel that. But, man, take it back to when you were in your 20s, man. If I could, man, the fact that I'm sitting here with y'all today sometimes amazes me, all the dumb decisions I made out there. So, it's all bad, man. But he'll get through this. And like I said, I don't think he's going to slide too much. And if he does, then one that tells me he didn't do a great job of convincing these GMs of how remorseful he is, how he's going to learn from this.
Point.
And that's his goal now is just to get through this as a person and then convey to these GMs that it was just a dumb decision.